Hello, everybody, and welcome to English Grammar with Amer Sir. And we are dealing with the textbook, the SSC 10th Standard textbook, and we are today going to start with the unit 3.3, third chapter, third unit. We have last time studied about Albert Einstein and his efforts in making a young fellow understand that he is not tone deaf. Today is a lesson of another such great inspirational character, Stephen Hawking. So, we are going to deal with this chapter where we will study about his life, about his work, about the books he wrote, more importantly, his determination and his never give up attitude, which will inspire, which is already an inspiration for a lot of us. So, let's dive straight into the topic. The topic is Stephen Hawking, and you will see that this is his image, which is famous worldwide. He had this specially made wheelchair for him, and he wrote many books in this particular, using this particular arrangement that he had for himself. In fact, let me again come on cam to tell you this, that there was a movie made uh, based on his life and his achievements and his struggle. I'm going to show you the trailer of that movie, and I have no doubt that the interest will be aroused, and later you should go ahead and watch that movie. It's based on Stephen Hawking's life, and the intention, of course, is to inspire many people. Uh, there are so many people who look for inspiration. Well, here is one for you, because his life was full of struggle, and yet he managed to achieve and make his life meaningful from what some would say was a hopeless situation. So let's get started. Of course, this is the first part, and we will deal with this lesson into two parts. So this is the first lecture on this. We will finish the chapter in the next lecture. So Stephen Hawking, and by the way, we need to know more about him. So here we go. Stephen Hawking was born on 8th January 1942, and he passed away a couple of years ago, 14 March 2018. I remember very clearly, guys, that when this new syllabus was launched, he was still with us. So there was no, the date of death, of course, wasn't there. So it had to be, it's so recent, just a couple of years ago, that the reprint had the date. The original textbook, the first edition, didn't have that because he was with us. Anyway, sad. He was an English theoretical physicist, by English meaning a citizen of UK. He belonged to England. Cosmologist, author, and director of research at the Center of Theoretical Cosmology within the Cambridge University. Hawking was the first to set out a theory of cosmology explained by a union of the general theory of relativity and quantum mechanics. He had really excelled in the study of quantum mechanics, I must say, and the theory of black hole. Hawking was an honorary fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, a lifetime member of the Pontifical Academy of Sciences, and a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which you can see here, guys. This is the Presidential Medal of Freedom that we are talking about. And why is that so special? Because that's the highest civilian award in USA, the highest civilian award. So it is equivalent to what Bharat Ratna is in India. So you can imagine that's a very prestigious thing indeed. So highest civilian honor. This lesson gives us an insight into the great scientist and his life and his works. Okay, so Stephen Hawking, born 8 January 1942, is a British scientist, professor, and author who has done groundbreaking work in physics and cosmology, and whose books have helped to make science accessible to everyone. At the age of 21, while studying cosmology at the University of Cambridge, he was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, Part of his life story was depicted in the 2014 film The Theory of Everything. So that's the name of the movie, The Theory of Everything. And just at the age of 21, now guys, you should clearly try to understand and grasp the whole idea. At the age of 21, well, that's the age where you actually have dreams, you want to accomplish things, you're so confident. And to be diagnosed with ALS at that age, and to have to contemplate leading the remainder of your life in that state, well, it does take a lot of courage. And ALS means amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. So henceforward, hitherto, whenever you have ALS, you should know what it means. And by the way, now we will see the trailer. I want you to enjoy the trailer. I'm sure that you will have your interest raised after watching it, and please then later you may watch the entire movie. So let me take you through some of the notes that we are going to make in this slide before we watch the trailer. Groundbreaking. The meaning of groundbreaking is phenomenal, very big, phenomenal, groundbreaking. And you have a grammar entry. He was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Well, you don't have the doer. Remember, whenever you don't have the doer, you have to assume the doer. Well, here it is diagnosis, so we will assume the doctor. The doctor diagnosed him with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It's very important, guys. Whenever you don't have the doer, you insert they, or in this case, because it is diagnosis, I have used the subject, the doctor. So the doctor diagnosed him with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. I hope this is getting clear, and we will watch the trailer in the next slide. I've already told that. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes as usual to make your entries. And today, of course, not 3 minutes. We are going to use 2-minute time frame. Your time starts now. Please make all your notes. Also, make sure that you understand that here you have British scientist, and in introduction you had English physicist. So that means belonging to England. He was a citizen of Britain. We will watch the trailer. I'm sure you are excited. Please follow the color coding if you are doing it directly in the textbook. We are now on to the third chapter. This is 3.3. So there must be already enough in your textbook. Another minute and 15 seconds. While you make notes, of course, you have to remember the point I made about him being diagnosed with ALS at the age of 21. Guys, that's when people will say life begins. At 21, you have your ambitions, you want to do so many things, and at 21 to be diagnosed with ALS, you can imagine what he must have felt. He was a strong man with a strong character. Another 40 odd seconds before we start the trailer of the movie. The name of the movie is The Theory of Everything. Guys, there's this word cosmology as well here. Cosmology is study of the universe, the space, planets, heavenly bodies. That's cosmology. I'm sure many of you have your interest in cosmology. Last 10 seconds. Okay, I hope, guys, that you are ready. Your time is up. You're ready to proceed to the next one. All right, then, time to proceed to our trailer. So this is the trailer, and let's see, am I able to play this or not? I wonder. I don't think I'm able to play this right now, guys, but I think, well, wait a second, do I have an option of playing it? Well, I have the video, but somehow this setting that I have at the moment, I'm not able to play the video. What I'll do is I'll have the video and actually do it in the second part. We have still time with us. We are going to deal with it only, let's say, till the halfway stage. So in the next lecture, again, when we bring this lesson to a climax, I will definitely show you the trailer. So at the moment it's not playing. I have the trailer, but it's not playing at the moment. We will do it for the next lecture. So, but that is what the name of the movie is. This is how it is. So this was this movie specially created to make everybody aware about his life, his struggle, even his love life, and the partner he found. Very cute indeed, very lovely. So we will deal with it the next time. I promise you that that's not a problem at all. At the moment I'm not able to play that, so let us proceed to the lesson. As usual, guys, let me come on camera to tell you this. As usual, when I am explaining, when I am reading, stay focused on your screens. What it does is that you have the script in front of you and you're able to listen to me. That way also you will improve your English. When I'm explaining, don't be busy jotting down anything at all. Okay, just listen. I always give you a couple of minutes to make your entries. So let's continue. So what do we have? Over the years, Stephen Hawking has written or co-written a total of 15 books. You can imagine, for someone in that hopeless position to write 15 books, make his life meaningful, is an achievement. A few of the most noteworthy include The Grand Design, The Universe in a Nutshell, The Theory of Everything, of course the movie. In 1988, Stephen Hawking catapulted to international prominence. Prominence is importance with the publication of A Brief History of Time. That's a book. The short, informative book became an account of cosmology for the masses, that is for the common people, and offered an overview of space and time, the existence of God, and the future. The work was an instant success, spending more than 4 years atop the London Sunday Times bestseller list. Since its publication, it has sold millions of copies worldwide and has been translated into more than 40 languages. So that is simply amazing. Here we learn about the books he has written or he has co-written. There's this movie, and of course A Brief History of Time was one of the best seller books, and it was constantly at the top in London Sunday Times, and it's such a popular book that it got translated into more than 40 languages. That is amazing. So what is to be studied here? Co-written, you see the hyphen there, so that's a compound word. And noteworthy means worth attention. Noteworthy, worth attention, worth paying attention, worth taking notice. Catapulted means launched or get a boost. So he really was launched into international platform in 1988. That was the meaning. The work was an instant success. This is assertive, and they'll ask you probably to make it interrogative. So how to do that? Well, you should look at the auxiliary. So what's the auxiliary here? Was. So you change the auxiliary from positive to negative. So you change was to wasn't. So the work was an instant success. Wasn't the work an instant success? And don't forget the question mark. And you will make it interrogative comfortably. I had already told you this. For the masses means for people, for the common, common man or common men, let's say, for the people, for the society at large. So I'm going to start your countdown timer. That's all there is to this slide. Please make your notes accurately. Prominence, you can add that to your notes. Prominence is importance or significance. International significance was acquired by him in 1988 when he published the book A Brief History of Time. Make interrogative was an interesting grammar question, and the way to do it is what I have discussed here. Make the auxiliary change it from positive to negative or negative to positive as is applicable. Do not forget the question mark at the end. is a compound word, co-written. That means he co-authored it, having more than one author. You have another minute. Also, you should notice that G in the spelling of God is capital. Anytime it's a reference to Almighty, it's capital. You should notice that. And bestseller is a list where the authors whose books at least have made sale of 1 million copies are included. So best-selling author, something like that is what you might have heard. Another 25 seconds. By the way, just out of curiosity for the students here in Mumbai, millions, I hope you are familiar with that term. 10 lakh is million. What happens is lakh is popular here in India, so 6 zeros is a million, 1 and 6 zeros, so that's 10 lakh here. Colloquially, 10 lakh, just remember that. And of course the time is up. And how much is a billion, you think? 100 crores. That's another term popular here locally. You don't have millions and billions, lakh and crores. So 10 lakh is 1 million and 100 crore is a billion. That's why India is a country of 1.3 billion people. Okay, so let us now proceed to the next slide. And here you should first of all notice the names of his books. That's the cover page, of course. So first you have the grand design, then you have the universe in a nutshell, a brief history of time. I strongly recommend, guys, this is 10th standard, I understand, but whenever you find time, you should go ahead and read these books. Maybe in your vacations, maybe after 10th standard. Nobody's running away with anything. So make sure that you go through at least one of these books. They're very inspiring, especially when they come from a man who made his life meaningful after what happened. Let's read. A Brief History of Time, name of his book, also wasn't as easy to understand as some had hoped. So to that effect, what happened? In 2001, Hawking followed up his book with The Universe in a Nutshell, which is this one here, which offered a more illustrated guide to cosmology's big theories. So basically, this was the lucid language, a simple language, universe in a nutshell. Some people thought Brief History of Time was a little complicated thing. So he followed that up with the book, The Universe in a Nutshell. And here, in a nutshell is a phrase which means in short. Okay. And now I'm going to give you your time, but this time let me just give you a minute, because 1 minute is just enough to make one note. So it's just a single entry here. So make sure that you utilize the time properly. You have about 50 seconds. Reading books is very important, guys, outside of your textbook. As a teacher, it's my earnest request to all my students to inculcate reading as a habit. It does develop your personality, and books indeed teach us a lot. And there are so many subjects upon which the books offer help without any prejudice, without any bias, without any partiality. They provide knowledge. So inculcate the habit of reading. The time is almost over. Hope you made that entry. In a nutshell means in short. Your time is up. And well, let me share this with you. There is a channel that I have, which is Think Better and Live Better with Amaya Vaidya. So Think Better, Live Better with Amaya Vaidya. So you can actually go ahead and check out that channel. Maybe next time I will have the link or the screenshot. And in that, why I'm talking about that channel is I have talked about the habit of reading and how that really helps you to develop your personality. So do go ahead and watch that as well. Let us proceed now. We'll go to the next slide. In 2005, Hawking authored the even more accessible, I think over here accessible will mean easy to understand, easy to reach out, to understand is the meaning here. A briefer history of time. Well, this is that book, briefer history of time. Remember, it's a comparative degree. First was the brief, and now this is the briefer history of time, which further simplified the original work's core concepts and touched upon the newest developments in the field like string theory, worked on string theory as well. Now imagine you have to spend life like this in a wheelchair specially made for you and to make your life meaningful. How often do youngsters nowadays get irritated? How often? Maybe they wanted something their parents didn't give them that. Depressed. There was a minor setback in life. Compare that with what image you just saw. And how easily do we get depressed? These great individuals, they tell us one thing. And I'm going to really share this with you. They tell us that it is very important for you to keep that battle going. Don't stop. Don't give up. Continue. Because then your life could just be an inspiration. Today, Stephen Hawking is not with us. But isn't his life always going to be an inspiration for all of us? Yes. That is why keep your battle going. Always remember that. Okay. And that's why I'll take you back to that image I was talking about. Imagine you have to spend your life like this. But he did not give up and he did not succumb to any of the doctor's announcements, and he indeed did some great work. What is the thing to be studied here? Core, meaning central, very central. Earth's core, you might have studied in geography. So core concepts, central, key ideas. Accessible is easy to get, easy to understand. I already told you that. So I'm going to again offer you only a minute to make a couple of entries that you find here. I also hope that you are making notes of the books, because then you can keep the names handy whenever you visit your library. Should you have time, you know which book to ask. So you can go for the one easy to understand. So I think briefer history of time, as the lesson suggests, that he simplified the concept. So you should probably go for that, in my opinion. Make note of all the names of his books. We already saw in the previous slide that he's written about 15 books. That is phenomenal. Some students won't write 15 essays all their life. Here we're talking about a man diagnosed with ALS to have written or co-authored 15 books. Amazing. If you have to take inspiration, it's from such people. Okay, your time is up and back to the lesson. Let me read it. Stop writing. Let me read. Stay focused on the screen and follow my reading. Together, these three books, along with Hawking's own research and papers, articulate the physicist's personal search for science's holy grail, a single unifying theory that can combine cosmology, the study of the big, that's cosmology, and quantum mechanics, the study of the small, to explain how the universe began. It's this kind of ambitious thinking that has allowed Hawking, who claims he can think in 11 dimensions, to lay out some big possibilities for humankind. He is convinced that time travel is possible and that humans may indeed colonize other planets in the future. Guys, when I read it, I'm sure you've actually tried to follow when I read it, so that you understand when I read, I don't stop, make unnecessary pauses, don't fumble. Your reading will also improve if you really concentrate when I read it. And there is an interesting point I wish to make before I actually take you through the slide and the entries. You should notice the word humankind. I really want you to pay attention on this word humankind. And why is that important, you would ask? This humankind word, okay, that I have encircled here. Why am I saying that that is such an important word? Is because you have to be politically correct. Earlier it was okay to say mankind, but then the point is, when you say mankind, it kind of overlooks the women, the 50% of the world. So it is not considered great. What is considered okay is that you use mankind. So let us open up our notepad to understand this better. So I am saying mankind is incorrect. So what is correct then? Humankind is better, or human race. I'm going to say that human race is fine. So let me share a famous proverb with you. Practice makes a man perfect. I'm sure you've heard of this, but hang on, it is incorrect nowadays to say this. So if that is incorrect, what is the correct way to put it? Practice makes an individual perfect. Guys, I'm very sure you are getting my point. Okay, instead of saying sportsman, which is incorrect, you better go for sports person, which is correct. So I have no doubt, guys, you're getting what I am trying to tell you and teach you. It is important that you speak correctly. So to recapitulate, mankind, humankind, a human race. Practice makes a man perfect. Well, why would practice only make a man perfect? Practice makes any individual perfect, right? It's a matter of practice. What you feel is impossible when you first look at a thing or notice a skill is actually a matter of practice. Any great person will tell you that. That's a secret, practice. Okay, so back to it. The third one I shared with you was sportsman. Why sportsman? Sports person is so much better. So kindly make a note of this. I'm roughly going to wait for a minute. I'm not going to give you the countdown timer for this, but roughly a minute. Please make note of all these three entries. This will help you speak politically correctly. And it has a far deeper meaning here. Instead of saying mankind, you say humankind or human race. You're fantastic. Imagine you say this, practice makes an individual perfect. Brilliant. Sports person, not sportsman. Chairman, would you say? Chairperson. By the way, when you're watching cricket, it's interesting now that I'm going to ask you to do some research. Okay? I will now come on cam for that. So what is that research I want you to do? When you watch cricket, if you are watching, well, men's cricket, then it is batsman. Then you cannot say batsperson because he is batsman. My question to you is, if you're watching women's cricket, then is it batsman or is it batswoman, or do they still say batsman instead of batswoman? Find that out. Leave that in the comment. This is a very interesting assignment I've given you. If you are watching cricket, women's cricket, is it batswoman or do they let it be batsman? Well, you tell me that. That's an interesting assignment. Let us go back to the slide because we have to study what was so important there as far as the content in the slide was concerned. Articulate, meaning expressed in words. Articulated. Articulate means express in words. So that actually expresses in proper words. Science is holy grail, which means a thing that is wished for the most. Holy grail. A thing that you yearn, Y-E-A-R-N. A thing that you want, a thing that you long for, Holy Grail. And that's why H and G is capital. Dimensions, aspects or features, and you have a grammar entry. He is convinced that time travel is possible. So Stephen Hawking believes or believed that time travel is possible. During his lifetime, he was a great proponent of that to be the reality. So make negative will be the command, and the answer will be he has no doubt that time travel is possible. He is convinced that time travel is possible. He has no doubt that time travel is possible. So if you say that somebody is convinced, means that somebody has no doubt about it. All right then. So we are now again onto the countdown, and I'm going to give you a couple of minutes for this, so that you can jot down whatever it is. Over here in the slide, your time has started. Quantum mechanics. I'm sure you've seen movies like Ant-Man. So there's nothing but quantum mechanics at work there. It's the study of the small, and cosmology is the study of the big. In a way, cosmology and quantum mechanics can be antithesis here. They are opposite in meaning. Cosmology is the study of the big. Quantum mechanics is the study of the small. So they are opposite. They're antonyms. Dimensions are aspects, and the lesson says that Stephen Hawking believed that he could think in 11 dimensions. That is simply stunning. Unifying is something that brings together, makes single, joins. You have a minute more. By the way, whenever the scientists or the people in medical field do any research, they read papers in conferences. So here by papers, they're not your daily newspapers. Their research papers are often referred to as only papers. So if there is any PhD or a doctor or a surgeon telling you that I read a paper at a conference, he was not reading the newspaper. Their research document is known as a paper. About 20 seconds more. And also remember that we did study about being politically correct, not sportsman, sportsperson. I hope that you had made notes of those things. There were 3 entries we saw. And in the next 5 seconds, we'll proceed to the next slide. Okay, your time is up, and we will now proceed to the next. Let me read it. Try to follow me when I am reading. In September 2010, Hawking spoke against the idea that God could have created the universe in his book, The Grand Design. Hawking previously argued that belief in a creator could be compatible with modern scientific theories. His new work, however, concluded that the Big Bang was the inevitable consequence of the laws of physics and nothing more. Because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. Hawking said, spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing, why the universe exists, why we exist. Guys, here is one particular aspect where I differ to what Hawking says. Hawking says that the Big Bang was nothing but simple physics at work, but science itself says that there is always a reason behind everything, and there has to be some intelligent force behind anything that happens. So I'm not an atheist, so I believe in God, and I believe that there was a creator, and I believe that if Big Bang was the thing, then I believe that there was a creator for the Big Bang. That's the only difference of opinion, but otherwise there's concrete research. So what are the things to be studied from this slide? What he is saying is compatible, well suited. He is saying that there will always be something rather than nothing because it's simple physics. Inevitable is unavoidable. I'm sure you've heard this word before. Now here is something interesting. Can and will, these are modal auxiliaries. Well, can suggests ability. The universe can, that's ability, and the universe will shows certainty. So I will want you to read it this way. Universe can create itself, the universe will create itself. So can shows ability, will shows certainty. These are modal auxiliaries. Mind you, the word is modal, not model. It's modal. Okay. Spontaneous is happen by instinct. Spontaneous, without preparation, on the spot. Why the universe exists, why we exist, is a figures of speech repetition. Now here I want to make a thing very clear to you. Exists and exist, is it repetition if there is no s? Well, it is a repetition. Because of the grammar rules, we had to use why the universe exists and why we exist. So otherwise it is the same word. That's why you can take it as figures of speech, and that brings us to a conclusion that yes, even during the lessons, for a better impact, you could have figures of speech just to make it more impactful. Going back to the slide, let's see if there is anything more. No, nothing more. So I'm going to start the countdown. You will have a couple of minutes. Your time has started. Okay, G in God is capital again, and well, he believed that the Big Bang was simple physics and that God is not necessarily the creator. The universe can and will create itself always from nothing. That's the only difference of opinion I have, is that I believe that there is a creator, some intelligent force at work. You call God, you call universe, whatever you want to call it, but there is some intelligent force far superior to anyone and anything else who thought of this world. Yes, so you can of course write in the comments about your views on this one. Also, you could share your views about time travel. Well, Stephen Hawking believed that time travel is definitely possible. Under a minute now, and we will proceed. It's very interesting that we got a couple of modal auxiliaries in the same sentence. How nice. In the fragment, in fact, not the entire sentence. The universe can and will create itself from nothing. Brilliant. Can shows modal auxiliary of ability. Will shows modal auxiliary of certainty. Well, if the board asks you such sentences and they ask you to pick out the modal auxiliaries and state type, well, you have to pick out both and write down the types. Don't just pick out one. All the modal auxiliaries that apply with the type and with the correct spelling. Auxiliaries is auxiliaries. Your time is up and we should now proceed to the next slide. There we go. Let me read it. The Grand Design was Hawking's first major publication in almost a decade. Within his new work, Hawking set out to challenge Sir Isaac Newton's belief that the universe had to have been designed by God simply because it could not have been born from chaos. The word here is chaos. Okay, CH makes the K sound. And what is an important thing to study here? You already had this table in front of you. Not exactly a table, but let's say a chart. Designed is with a silent G. So here I have pointed out 5 words with silent G. You have gnaw, foreign, sign, rain, campaign. So there are words, lot of words with silent G. And here is your assignment. Now your assignment is to find out another 5 words apart from the one I've just shown. Another 5 words with a silent G in the spelling. So go ahead and send that homework to me as usual on email. Last lecture I did share my email with you, or do it on the Telegram channel, or send it. Leave that in the comment. I have no problem, because that's just a minor part of the homework. You can leave it in the comments. Now, one thing is for sure, that this is how the scientists work. Okay, what happens is that the scientists always do some continuous research, so they try to better each other's work. So he disagreed with Sir Isaac Newton's philosophy, and so he did not think that God was necessarily the creator. Another thing is, before we go ahead and see the next slide, I want you to pay attention at this particular part, chaos, where the ch makes the k sound. And we are going to go back to our notepad in order to study this in detail. So what is the point I want to make? The point I want to make is about this ch in English. So let me bring the notepad in front of you now. There we go. And I'm talking about the ch sound here in English. So what about the ch sound? Well, it makes the k sound. It makes the sh sound. And it also makes the ch sound. So I am going to share examples, let's say 3 examples for each, and again give you your assignment. So let's say for K you have character. You do not say character, you don't say character. Okay. Next, you say for this particular example number 2, for the K, you would have, what can I say? Okay, chameleon. Okay, the creature that changes colors. It's chameleon. Okay. We will have another word which is chemical. That comes to my mind. It's not chemical. It is not chemical. It is chemical. Let us proceed to the sh sounds that it could make. You have the game dumb charades. charades. Guys, it's very important you realize that it is actually dumb charades. It is the sh sound it makes. Okay, very important. It's the sh. Next is chandelier. Often in posh villas you would have seen the chandelier then hanging by the ceiling. Okay, chandelier. Then you have champagne. Those are the 3 examples that come to mind. We will continue our study with the ch now. So you have chin. You don't say kin or kin. You don't say shin. You say chin. You add a to that, it becomes China, a name of the country, but I am not going to take proper nouns here. What else can be the ch sound? The church. You don't say it is kirk or church. It is church. What else can be the ch sound? Challenge. It's not challenge, it is challenge. So I want you to make a note of this, but let me come on cam for a moment. The homework is to find 3 more entries in all. So 3 more with the K sound, 3 more with the SH sound, and 3 more with the SH sound. Yeah, in that order. So 3 more examples. I'll take you now back to the word pad so that you can make your notes. Don't take more than a minute to write this properly. Make proper notes. I am sure that the word dumb charades has really captured your attention. So many. Please be honest about it. Please be honest about it and tell me. Did you know this before I said this? That's actually the spelling of dumb charades. The game that you play where you enact the name of the movie or whatever the word is, and then people have to recognize what you're talking about. So that's it. Dumb charades. That's actually the word. Anyway, please keep making notes, jot it down properly. Such interesting observations, guys. It's very nice that I can present all this to you via this medium of online lectures. Just the word ch, is it not, tempted me to, the words with ch tempted me to share this observation with you about how in English the same pattern makes different sounds. I am very sure now that you are done with these particular entries. Let us go back to the slide, and there are a couple of entries only. Silent G words. I'll give you a minute for this. Just write down all the 5 words I have given you. About a minute. I don't think I need a countdown timer for this. Approximately a minute. The word was chaos. So here chaos is this K sound that we studied right now. Okay, so chaos will fall in this category here. Okay, the K sound, chaos. All right. Gnaw. By the way, I just want to share the meanings. Gnaw is to bite hard at something. Okay, gnaw. The dog was gnawing on the bone. Foreign is simple to understand. Sign. Reign is rule. Campaign is mission. All right. I hope that you are done. Time for us to proceed to the next slide. Okay. So let me read and explain you the entries. It is not necessary to invoke God to light the blue touch paper and set the universe going, Hawking said. At the age of 21, Stephen Hawking was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or the name of the disease is provided. In a very simple sense, the nerves that controlled his muscles were shutting down. At the time, doctors gave him 2.5 years to live. Guys, we have studied this, that at the age of 21, he was diagnosed with ALS. We done that for Change the Voice. The other grammar entry here is, it is not necessary. So if it is not necessary, it means that it is unnecessary. In one of our previous lectures, we did talk about using prefixes for making it affirmative. All right, so he seems to have a firm opinion now. The opinion is that God is not necessary to believe. It was simple physics at work according to him. All right, is there anything else that needs notification here? Yes. Diagnosis: identify a medical condition. If you're suffering from something, you go to the doctor, he will diagnose that it's common cold, flu, or whatever it is that you are suffering from. Okay, now what I have decided that we will do is that the next slide that we will study will be the last one. Let me give you a minute for this slide. 1 minute should be enough for this one. Your time starts now. 1 minute, a minute should be okay. Okay, I was sharing this, that the next slide probably will be the last slide we'll study for this lecture. We are going to divide this lesson into 2 parts. So we will stop after the next slide. One thing is for sure that I promised you is that probably I'll play the video the next time. At the moment I could not, because that option was not available. I have the trailer, but it could not be played today. So the lesson is not over. We still have the second part to go. I'll try and present it to you then. Diagnosed. By the way, talking of diagnosed, look at the spelling, and the S there makes the Z sound. The next lecture probably will study more of such examples where S actually makes the S sound, and sometimes it makes the Z sound. We will talk about that. The time is up, and it is time now for us to go to the final slide for this lecture. Let me read it and focus on the screen when I read it, please. Hawking first began to notice problems with his physical health while he was at Oxford. On occasion, he would trip and fall or slur his speech. He didn't look into the problem until 1963, during his first year at Cambridge. For the most part, Hawking had kept these symptoms to himself, but when his father took notice of the condition, he took Hawking to see a doctor. For the next 2 weeks, the 21-year-old college student made his home at a medical clinic where he underwent a series of tests. Guys, let's see what is there to be studied in this slide. A lot of things. Trip and fall. Here, they mean the same. So, it's tautology at work. Earlier in the lecture, we did see repetition as the figures of speech. And now here you have tautology because trip and fall, both the words mean the same. So, this is tautology. Slur is speech means speak unclearly. The people will not be able to understand what you are saying. Okay, slur his speech. Hawking had kept these symptoms to himself, change the voice. Now, the way to change the voice is what I want to talk about. Normally, the assumption that the students have is if it is change the voice, then the last thing first and the first things last. That's what they feel change the voice is all about. Well, it is not the case. In change the voice, you have to, if it is active to passive, more importantly, look at the verb. So, what is the verb in this? The one that we were studying. The verb here is kept, past tense of keep. So you have to start with the word after that. So the answer begins with these symptoms. These symptoms had kept will become had been kept to himself, and you put the by part at the end. It's the best way to remember how to change the voice. Look at the verb, start after that. And one more type of change the voice that we studied in this very lecture, guys, was the one where the doer was missing. Remember? He was diagnosed with ALS. The doctor diagnosed him with ALS. Well, in that case, it was passive voice to the active voice. This is active voice to the passive voice. Just remember that. Okay. It's a very important thing. Let me quickly tell you how to identify whether it is active voice or passive voice. Students, normally they are very cool in changing the voice. But here I want to deal with a small topic, which is how to identify whether the given voice is active or passive. Is there a way to find that out? Yes, there is. Let me take you to the word pad for this. So I will now bring the word pad. There it is. I will get rid of everything which is here because that was about the CH sound. Okay. So how to identify the voice? Not change the voice, but how to identify it. Let us deal with a very common example. The cat killed the mouse. Very simple and very commonly used example. Okay, the mouse was killed by the cat. So what am I getting at? Guys, observe this very carefully. The cat is the doer, and that's why I'm saying I'm not talking simply about the subject, I'm talking about the doer. Guys, I'm talking about the doer, someone who is actually performing something in the sentence. The cat killed the mouse. The cat is the doer. So what am I saying? The cat is the doer, and that doer comes before the verb. What's the verb here? Killed. The doer comes before the verb, and that's why I'm going to say that this is the active voice. I hope you're enjoying this. It's a very important point, guys. The doer comes before the verb. What happened here? The mouse was killed by the cat. Now, does that mean that the doer changed? I'm asking you a very valid question. Does it mean that the doer has changed? The mouse was killed by the cat? No, the doer still is the cat. So now what changed here was the position. The doer here, what happened is that the doer came after the verb, was killed, and here you have the cat. So I'm going to say that this is the passive voice. Guys, I want you to make a note of this. I'm going to probably give you a minute for this, and what you have to write down is, in short, of course, doer before the verb, Let me take this a little closer. And here I'm going to say doer comes after the verb. Okay. Please make a note of this. I'm talking about doer, not the doer, doer. Please make a proper note of this. It's a very interesting point that we have just studied. I'm not talking about changing the voice here. I am talking about how to identify whether it is active or passive. So it's a very nice way of identifying that. Okay. I have at least no doubt in my mind that this was not normally heard. Change the voice is what you would have done so many times, but this is the way to identify in the first place whether it is active or passive for it to be changed in the other voice, into the other voice. I hope that you have made your notes, and now we will get back to the slide. Shall we? Okay. I think we should. So let us get back to the slide. This was what we were studying, and I'm going to start the countdown timer. This one I will grant a couple of minutes. There is reasonable content here. And your time starts now. Please make sure that you are jotting everything perfectly. And by the way, OXFORD is Oxford and not Oxford. It's not occasion, it is occasion. The O at the start makes the sound, just like onion, opinion, occasion. Tautology was the figures of speech we studied. And of course, the lesson isn't over, but this is just the first part where we are going to stop because I don't want to take a lecture for more than an hour. Well, about an hour is fine. We will bring this to the end in the next part. By the way, after this minute is over, I will come on camp to recapitulate what we studied, discuss your homework again, and of course with the promise that we will get to see the trailer the next time. I couldn't play that for you today. Actually, I had it all set, but I don't know, somehow it was, their option was not activated. I couldn't play it. You also understood how the highest civilian honor looks like. That's why you had this presidential badge. You had this image in, I believe, the second slide. Another 25 seconds. Last 10 seconds, guys. And your time is up. Okay then. What is it that we studied today? A great inspirational character, Stephen Hawking. The lesson is based on his life. We did the first part today. The lesson isn't over. The next lecture, we will bring this lesson to an end. We will definitely try to make sure that we are able to play the trailer the next time. And if not, well, at least I've shared the name of the movie. You should definitely go ahead and watch it. We have quite a few assignments for you. The CH sound, you have to provide me with more words. What else did we have? The silent G is what we wrote. I think there was another homework that I gave you. I believe there were two instances where I gave you the homework, and mind you that you should study the notes that we wrote on the word pad about being politically correct, about the CH sound, about how to identify the voice. Those were very nice discussions we had. In the next one, we will talk about the S, making the S sound and making the Z sound. Okay, I hope that you are enjoying these videos about the SSC textbook. Let me know how you are finding these videos, and up until next time, as I always say, take care, stay fit, stay healthy. Until next time,